Hey there, this is Dan and I've got the wee man with me now, and what I want to share with you is the fastest way to bring money into your business in a service-based business. So I've been in sales for coming up a decade now, and I've run a business for over 5 years. And what I want to share is the fastest way I've found to merge you with clients and of course you with money. Now it's interesting because being in 2019, I woke up today and I realized I need to come up with $50,000.
$50,000.
And why that may be of interest to you is business, as you know, goes up and it goes down. And I realized how little fear I had around this and how much confidence and how empowered I feel to sort everything out and to pay the bills. Isn't that right? To pay the bills, baby boy. So what I found the best way to merge you with the client is to call them. So 2019, this tool you may be aware of, the cell phone, is the most vital pillar in our business. And now we get referrals, and I've got existing client base that I can work with. However, when I need to really ramp up the business, and I had this last year where I was speaking with my younger brother, and he was looking at working with me. And I said to him, hey, what do you earn in a year? And he told me what he earned in a year. And I said, look, I'm going to earn what you earn in a year in 1 month. And that's the beautiful thing that a business can do, is really give you the option to make some serious money. Isn't that right, baby boy? Get that paper. So how I found the quickest and best way is with the calling, like I mentioned. Now, a lot of people are scared around cold calling. I've been there. You may well have been there. You may have a lot of resistance to this. Oh, cold calling. Oh, cold calling, eh? Scary stuff. However, what I found is it's actually very easy and very stress-free. We're only calling a person. They're not going to hurt you. They're not going to do anything untoward. And it's a very easy, stress-free process when you really break it down. In fact, yesterday I did about 20 cold calls. That's right. And I was actually thinking how gangster I was, and I'm actually kind of being a bit serious about that. I was really low with my voice. It's like, hey, this is Dan. Really low. This one client I called, I was thinking, wow, I sound like I'm making absolutely no effort in this call, because it's kind of the case. I'm just such an old hat with this. And this is from learning a lot, and hopefully I'm able to shorten that time for you and really merge a straight line between you and the money, which often is the client, right? If you think about where money comes from, it does not come from thin air. I mean, we can look at the Federal Reserve, we'll get really technical with the banks and things, but the money really comes from a person like you and I. And so the faster we can merge yourself with the client, the faster we can have that money change hands to you. So what I did was I got a list of builders. Now, I used to work as a plumber years ago. So years ago, I used to work as a plumber. And so I got a list of builders. I've already worked with a lot of plumbers. And it's this long list from a friend. It's 1,500 names, or businesses on this list. And so then what I do is I copy the business name and I put that into Google. And that'll come up with hopefully the website, or the Facebook for the client. And so then I'll check out the website, and then I'll go to contacts and make sure there's a cell phone or a office number. And then I will go to Companies Register. So if you go to Companies Register, this is what we have in New Zealand. Hopefully you have that overseas. But you want to find out the company information. It's pretty easy to find. And this will give you how long the company's been in force for. And what I'm really looking for, though, is the director's name, for the boss's name, right? Call the boss, Rick Rouse. And so once I get the boss's name, so say I'm calling this building company because I'm calling small businesses like what you may have. And so say the boss's name's Dave. So then I know when I call the office to call for Dave. So then I call and say I get a secretary, I say, hey, it's Dan, can I speak with Dave? And 9 times out of 10, they'll just put me through to Dave. And then with Dave, so I'll go good case first. So with Dave, he'll go, hey, this is Dave, or hi there, this is Dave. And I'll say, hey Dave, this is Dan, how are you? And I'll be really, really friendly. This is a real key. So be really friendly as if I know Dave, because if he's a business owner, say I'm targeting builders here, if he's a business owner, he really has to err on the side of caution with me, because let's say I'm a client or a friend, even if he does not recognize me straight away, he's got to be careful. Because say you run a building company and I call you and I say, hey, it's Dan, and you go, who? And you're really cagey with me. What if I'm a dear client of yours, but I've called off another number, say? So you have to be really friendly, because you'll trigger that nice, happy side in the person you're calling, because they have to be nice and friendly. This is a real key. So with Dave, I'll say, hey, it's Dan, and he'll say, hey, Dan, and then straight away, I will say, hey, have I called you at a good time? And this does a lot, you guys. Straight away, this separates you from the herd. This is a key that's really helped me show that I'm different to a lot of other people who call out there. It's not about me, it's straight away about them. And I'm really showing that by saying, hey, is this a good time? Because say I'm calling this builder, he might be on a roof, he might be with a client, and often they'll pick up the phone still. And I'm saying, hey, I'm happy to work with you, and I'm happy to find a time that's more suitable. And so say Dave says, hey, well, actually, no, now is not a good time. I'll say, absolutely fine. I'll say, I'll call back at a bit of time, and I'll basically really quickly just hang up, in a reasonable amount of time. Hey, what's this? What's this? So I'll call at a reasonable time in the future, and I have the power with that. So I will not say to Dave when I'll call. I'll just say, hey, no worries. I'll call back at a better time, and I'll put him in a CRM. So I'll put a link. I'll do a video later on about a CRM, but that's a customer relationship manager. So this is basically a diary online with giving you prompts, and you can also do a sales pipeline and everything like that. But what's great for that is it'll remind me, say, in a day or two to call Dave, or a week or two, or whatever. And then I call at my convenience. I'm not really in a rush with that, because I did not say to Dave that I would call him. That's a key as well, doing what you say you'll do. So, what's this? What's this? You're not interested in cold calling? Well, I hope you guys are. So, what I found is, if he says, yes, now's a good time, or I've got a minute, or whatever, then I quickly go into why I'm calling. So for me, I used to be a plumber, and this may be a hint for you as well. So I used to be a plumber, so I say to Dave, hey there, Dave, look, I used to be a plumber, so I now work as an insurance advisor. However, I'm the only insurance advisor that I know that used to be a tradesperson like yourself. And I'm already working with a lot of tradespeople, a lot of plumbers, a lot of other builders, and they're really happy with my services. And I thought I'd reach out to you and see if I could also be of service to you. So something like that, some sort of spiel like that. So what I'm bringing in there as well is other people I'm looking after. I may even say names. I've got a list of names. So each client I acquire, I ask them to give me permission with a sign off, because I've got forms to sign anyway, so it's easy. I just added that in. But I have a tick box. So I say, hey, are you open for me to use your name for marketing? And I can say, hey, I'm already looking after this guy from this big company, this guy from this big company, and they all know each other. It's kind of like school, you guys. If you target a specific group of specialists, they all know each other. It's like at school how you know the cool guy, you know the nerd or you know the musical people. So it's the same thing in business. I say to these builders, hey Dave, I'm already working with Jason from JMI, or I'm already working with Stephen from MD Building. You may have seen them around, and he'll go, oh yeah, I have. And then what I say as well is I say, hey, let's catch up, if you're open to catching up for a coffee or something stronger and just talking more about this. Because you do not want to sell too much on the phone anyway. So let's say, hey, if you're open to catching up for a coffee or something stronger, of course, my shout, and then we can talk more about this. So something like that, I say. So I'm coming from giving, I'm coming from value. I'm not trying to take anything from Dave. I'm not trying to sell him really. All I'm trying to do is catch up with him. And then of course, when I catch up, it's more about sort of going through what I do there, going into more detail, and then selling in person, of course. However, with the call, it's really about just booking him in or her in the most elegant and comfortable way. I mean, you're dealing with people, you guys, how would you want to be booked in? So say I called you and I said, hey, whatever your name is, and I said, look, it's Dan, how are you? I say, hey you, it's Dan, how have you been, or how are you? And then you'll say, yeah, good, thanks, sorry, who is this? And I'll say, look, have I called at a good time? And you'll say, yeah, I've got a quick minute. And I'll say, look, my name's Dan, as I mentioned. I run an insurance brokerage, or I do whatever, or I video for a living, or I photo for a living, or whatever. But the reason I'm calling is I am already looking after a lot of people in your profession, a lot of happy clients, and I was wondering if you're open to catching up for a coffee or something stronger, my shout, and just see if I can be of service to you as well. So this has really changed the game for me, and it's empowered me to go and find the clients myself rather than rely on someone else to give them to me, or to hope and pray and just wait. It's given me the resources to touch base with other people and to really fill my pipeline. And if you've been in sales for even 5 minutes, you'll see that the more people you can speak with, the higher the chance you have of doing business, of course. And so I hope this has been of help. Leave a comment if you would like to know something more specific, because I may have missed something out here, or may have not adequately explained something. However, it's a very, very simple thing. I mean, all we're really doing is calling a person and seeing if they're open to catching up and finding out more about our services. A lot about this too, and I'll do a video specifically, is about following up. I sat down with a client about a month ago, and he was almost shaking when he was looking at me, and he was saying, look, he goes, you've been following me up for over a year now. And he was just so impressed. And I said, I hope you don't feel I was pushing. He said, if you were pushing, I would have told you to bugger off straight away. But he was so impressed that I had the fortitude and the discipline to follow up with him for a year. It was actually probably coming up 2 years even. And what does this mean to me? I mean, I called him, 2 years ago, I introduced myself, and then I followed up. He said, hey, now's not good, or whatever. And so I followed up, and then say 6 months later, he said, oh, now it's still not good. But I'll end up probably acquiring this guy as a client. I'll say probably because I'm still following up with what his thoughts are after I've caught up with him. And so I end up with this client because I had the fortitude, like I mentioned, and the discipline to go the long distance with this.